G'day everyone, welcome to Hammerspace Recording. My name is Troy Nababan and today we are checking out the Diezel VH module for the Synergy system. Okay, the Diezel VH4 module. This is one of the older modules in the Synergy range now. I mean, it came out, I'm not sure which year it came out in, but we've seen Synergy release a lot of modules in the last couple of years with the 0-watt phase inverter and collaborations with Marshall and so on and so forth. I think with a catalog of so many different sounds that they produce, some of these older modules may be forgotten a little bit. And I was really excited to be able to put this one up and give it a shot. I've had a VH4 in here only once, and it was probably about 5 years ago. And I really love the sound of it. It's unfortunately a very expensive amp here in Australia, in Perth, Western Australia in particular, and very difficult to come by. I believe there's only maybe one or two of them around. So to be able to try a module that is about 1/10 the cost of the real amp, I think is pretty awesome. So I've got the module loaded into the Syn20IR today, which I've had that for a couple of months now to test out as well. I'm really interested in the Syn20IR, not only because I'm a big Synergy fan, but I think the structure switches that it has been implemented in this system, the structure ABC and the reactance knob, really helps to take this system to a different level. And I've gone through just about everything Synergy in the last couple of years, starting with the Syn 1, moving to two Syn 2s, which I currently use with a Fryette 292 power amp. I've had the Syn30 head as well, which I've gigged with quite a lot. And they're all really great amps, but I think having the structure switch, it really changes the feel of the amps that you're playing, certainly changes the sound as well. And I think it helps to address that that weird sort of situation that you can have, not always, but occasionally, where an entire head is not just a preamp. It's kind of the way the preamp and the power amp and everything interacts as a whole system. I think it really helps to address that. So I'm going to reamp some clips through the Syn20IR with the Diezel VH module, and I'll be doing that with my trusty 1997 Gibson Les Paul Standard with some bare knuckle cold sweats loaded, predominantly using the bridge pickup because that's what I like. We're reamping it with an undertone audio GB tracker through the Syn20IR, through a Marshall Vintage 30 cabinet, which is mic'd up in the other room with a Shure SM57, and it's a quote unquote good era V30 from the early 2000s. And yeah, let's check it out and see what you think, everybody. Thank you very much. So you've heard the Reamped clips. I'll do a little bit of a playthrough and a little bit of a chat just as I discuss this amp. So for starters, like I said in the intro, the one thing I really like about the Syn20IR, apart from its form factor and the impulse responses and all that sort of stuff, is the fact it's got the structure switch and the reactance knob. Firstly, the reactance knob, I guess, is like a dual presency, depthy sort of a knob. As far as I can understand what it does, I'm a little bit unclear at the moment. I find about halfway it gives me mostly what I want out of the amp. Sort of feel like the more I push it, it just, something sounds like a little bit too artificial, so I'm not certain what that is exactly. But around like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, it suits me really well. Outside of that, the structure switches really change the responsiveness of the amp to like the feel of it to play and also the sound of it in the recordings. With the Diezel VH module, I've preferred it in position A. When I've tried the module in the last few days, I've actually flicked through a couple of times and been like, oh, maybe I like C and maybe I like B, but I kind of feel like for everything that I do, A feels the most balanced, and balanced is certainly it's a word that I like to describe a lot for the guitar sounds that I like to play and that I like to get. So this is just blue channel. This is everything at halfway on structure A. And it feels pretty good to me. I would say between channel A and B, excuse me, the blue channel and the red channel, there is certainly a difference in gain. I don't think the tone of it's wildly different. Maybe the red channel is a little bit more scooped sounding, but not overly so. And I think you can get pretty easily achievable like rock guitar sounds, at least with both channels. I found the reactance knob to be a little bit more responsive in the blue channel as I was twisting it in the reamp section. But again, like about halfway on both, on the red channel and the blue channel, it sort of works pretty well. I'll just quickly play and flick through the structure switch just so you can hear what that's doing. We're on the blue channel at the moment. On the floor, I've got a Morningstar MIDI controller that I'm using to change channels and also to change the structure switch. So I can quickly flick through them. This is structure switch A. So to me, C, it feels like it's just adding this like low mid thing that, at least with this sound and this guitar and this setup, isn't really my sort of bag. And I get a lot more of that balance from the A setting. The B setting is kind of interesting. I initially didn't like it very much at all. It just felt a little too loose, but the more I've come to play it, particularly at the lower gain settings, I don't hate it at all. And back to A. I'll flick to the red channel and just hear what that sounds like. B. C. A. B. C. So once again, C feels like it's just taking away something that I kind of enjoy out of the module. Once again, the gain setting, it's kind of close. I feel like if I crank up the blue channel to maybe 3 o'clock, I get in the same sort of gain territory as what the red channel has. Maybe the red feels a little bit more compressed, a little bit sort of squishier maybe, whereas the blue has a bit more openness. And I think for the more rock and roll sort of, if I just go to the blue channel in the A structure switch. Go to the red channel. You can hear how the blue channel is a little bit more open. I'll try and match the gains just to see what it sounds like. They're in the ballpark. Once again, maybe the red channel's a little bit more scooped, or maybe it's got a tiny bit more low mids. It has a big full sort of character to it. I'm not using it today with a boost at all. I know some players will prefer that, to have a tube screamer or something in front of it to take some of the low end out, just to tighten it up. For the style of music that I play, which is, I play rock music, man. Like, I play a lot of covers and I play a bit of heavy metal, but I don't need anything to be hyper compressed and hyper distorted and be hyper tight as well. About the lowest tuning I ever do is in drop D or drop C sharp, which is what I'm in at the moment. That feels kind of okay to me. We'll go to the red. Turn the gain up a little bit on the red channel and hear what it sounds like. That suits me pretty well. So, I think I mentioned I've only really had one experience with the VH4, which was a couple of years ago now, maybe about 5 years ago. So shout out to Simon, who brought the amp in to do some recording back then. I really, really liked that amp. In Australia, it runs about $7,000-8,000 to pick up, which is quite expensive. One Synergy module is in the ballpark of like $700, so you can see the price difference there. I'm really keen to try and grab the real amp again and to do a proper side-by-side and hear how it sounds, but just for general playing purposes and general rocking out and riffage and all that sort of stuff, like, this module suits me pretty well and suits the way that I like to play. So yeah, so far so good. So that's the Diezel VH module for the Synergy system in the Syn20IR. This module really surprised me. It's not one that is, I think, one of the sexier modules that's out these days. Synergy in the last couple of years, maybe 2 years in particular, have changed the way the modules come out. They've got the 0-watt phase inverter stage in some of the newer modules, which is really interesting. I'm yet to try those modules. But the older ones, I think, still have a bit of magic to them, and particularly in this new system with the structure switches and the reactance knob, I think it really adds something. One thing I've noticed with running a recording studio for many years and having a lot of different guitar players come through and using a lot of my amp collection, which is reasonably vast at the moment. Certain amps of the high gain, more expensive kind of I don't know if this is a rare, like the VH4 is a rare amp specifically, but it certainly is in Perth where I am at the moment. As great as it sounds, some players just struggle to put it up and make the most out of it. Sometimes it's a gain thing in that the amp may not have quite the amount of gain they want. Maybe you need to play into it a little bit harder. And there are certain amps where almost anyone can plug into it and make it sound really good. Whereas I've had plenty of players come through and play, say, my vintage Marshall or even a Soldano, and it's been good but not great. I kind of feel like the VH module and maybe the VH4 as a general sound, and or maybe it's the Diezel sound, I find it really easy to play. I find it really responsive as well, and I think it's going to be the sort of sound that I put up for players when they come through, when we're really trying to find that perfect sound, but maybe it hasn't worked with some of the other amps that we've tried. So yeah, that's the Diezel VH module for Synergy. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you like what you see, there's going to be plenty more videos coming. Once again, I have a box of Synergy modules to test out at the moment, and I'm really keen to hear what they sound like. So please like, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at Hammerspace Recording or at Troy Nababan, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Peace.